Welcome back to another episode of Chew the Bean by Willy's Beans. I'm very excited today, like always, but today probably even more because I'm here with my boy Robert Farah.
Very excited to be in Chew the Beans by Willy's Beans, and excited to be with you here, Jay, in Colombia.
Yeah, so for this episode, we're going to be talking about all things from when Rob was a childhood dreaming of being a tennis professional to now being a bit of a wildlife warrior, and to what we're doing here, being here in Colombia. To be perfectly honest with you, I wouldn't be here today doing what I'm doing with Willy's Beans without you, Rob, so I want to say thank you for that.
Well, it's funny how life decides where to go and which roads to put in front of you, and actually, if you think about it, it's very interesting where you ended up and what your passion was, and obviously once you knew what that passion was, you press on the gas, and now look what you've done, and I'm very proud of you.
Thanks, man. And that's one thing I think that Rob and I have in common. It's one thing that I think why we love each other but also might clash at times is because of that intensity. But for me, I want to start by saying, what was it like when you were a kid growing up here in Colombia? Because the people back in Australia don't know about that.
Well, it was a very happy childhood. Obviously, we are in a city that I didn't grow up. We're in Pereira. I grew up in Cali, and the beginning, my dad used to be, or he's still a tennis coach. So I will always go with him to the tennis courts. I will always be playing tennis. There was always like sports involved. A lot like Australia, but like a little bit less professionalized. In Australia, like let's say the tennis courts and all the equipments. It's very it's very professional. It's like the best equipment you can find in the business. In Colombia, it's a little bit more folkloric. Let's put it that way. And nothing. I was rolling around on the clay courts and trying to grab a racket, trying to play tennis, and having a good life.
Yeah, it's nice for me because a little bit of backstory is we worked together on tour, and I got to see you at the height of your career, which was truly amazing to be a part of, but also just to sit here and talk about how you actually got up to that point, and knowing your father was a coach and having that support throughout. I didn't get to see it when you were a junior or when you were in college, but even as a professional, it's beautiful, that relationship you have with your father.
Yeah, he's been my mentor since we started. My father and my mother, I think both have given me a lot of values and a lot of discipline. My dad more on the tennis court, my mom more in the house, but still I owe a great deal from her and from him. And they don't come from an easy background. They come from Lebanon. They were immigrants in Colombia after a big war in Lebanon. They had to basically leave the country, and they ended up in Colombia. And there's where my dad started his academy. My mom was a school teacher, and from there on, I started playing tennis. Grew up with tennis, and from the beginning I was very mentalized that tennis will be a big part of my life, and there was no plan B, let's put it that way. So I feel like when there's no plan B, you either do it or do it. And at the end of the day, I was able to being a pro, and that was something that gave me a lot in my life, that made me mature a lot to actually deal with the tour. I think I wouldn't have been ready without going to college first, and everyone has his own process, but I think that was the right process for me.
Yeah, and just starting off with that, knowing the backstory of your family and the struggles that your parents faced leaving Lebanon, coming to Colombia. I mean, I saw it firsthand, the determination and the mental strength you have. Even before, you going to college, you grew up essentially with that mindset that it's you do it or you do it. And I think that that's something really nice to be able to talk about and show people. No disrespect, Rob, I love you, but you weren't always the most talented guy out there. But you were the most determined day in and day out, and I think that that's a real testament to why you achieved what you achieved. I mean, 2-time Grand Slam champion, we'll get there, but talk me through a little bit about, if there's somebody watching right now who, wants to be a professional tennis player or not even a professional tennis player, because I think that in business and life, it's that same mindset. Like, talk me through that.
I think discipline grows on you. I mean, you're either very talented in a disciplined way, and you grow up as a kid being super disciplined, or you are very you observe. You're very determined to observe life and to learn through life and understand that discipline is what's needed to achieve any goals. Basically, those are the two options. I think I'm a little bit of both. Let's say I'm gonna give myself a little bit of credit. Yes, I'm not like I was always a kid that liked to follow orders or like to do things right. But it's not like I was a super disciplined guy either. Like I learned that through my career. I understood what I had to do and what I had, like the sacrifice that I had to be made to make it.
Yeah.
And I mean, like you said, like we're gonna get to the Grand Slams, but I think that's like the big prize after like the big accomplishment after all the little add-ins that I put in my life, all the little sacrifice that I did in my life, and if I look backwards, like it was a lot of years to make it there. And yeah, like you said, like I wasn't the most talented guy, so I knew I had to like put the work day in and day out, and if it's clear in your mind, it's a simple process. The tough part is to make it clear in your mind what you want, basically.
Yeah, and I have to probably retract that a little bit. I mean, you have to be talented to get to where you are anyway. But in terms of at that level, there would have been multiple guys who weren't like, who naturally had the capabilities to maybe do more, but never did because they didn't have that same work ethic and drive. And you know what I love about doing these podcasts anywhere in the world is we get special visitors like this. We've got a couple.
No,
couple of...
Il n'y a pas appel on enlève la bouffe. C'est l'unique chose qui nous stresse là.
That's the fun part about doing the podcast here in your home with the beautiful backdrop, with your father's dogs. That's the fun part.
Yeah.
And that's the real part. And that's what, coming back to me a little bit about like Willy's Beans. Willy's Beans is all about, the real true nature of the coffee and what we're trying to bring with transparency and everything like that. So that's a little detour, but getting back to you and your career and seeing you over the years develop, it's funny we've had that conversation, but it's personally, but it's something I wanted to talk about today. We've known each other for maybe over 10 years now, between me working with Belen and then working with you, and that relationship is really cool because I've got to see you develop and you've got to see me develop. So that's really nice. And just to give you a little bit of a backstory, I was the physiotherapist for Robert Farah and Juan Sebastian Cabal, and arguably I got to do it in the best time of your careers. I don't know if it was destiny or what, but it was a really nice time, and I want to touch on that. Like for you, worked hard as a junior. You had a great college career. Touch a little bit on the college career, but then I want to know more about what were some of the highlights and lowlights throughout that whole period of your tennis career.
Yeah, so my college career was a turning point for me. I feel like I needed to experience different things in my life than tennis, and to be able to process those things and to mature through those things. And I was desperate to live those different things, and I think that's what college gave me, basically. I was able to do all these things that I wasn't able to do as a junior player, and I wasn't able to do when I was 14, 15, 16. That suddenly I have this freedom to do what I want with my time and to kind of execute my day the way I want it. And that's when I realized I was a very responsible guy, because I knew like I had to like perform well in tennis, but I also wanted to perform well in college, in school, but I also wanted to have a life outside college and tennis. And I actually did the three of them pretty well, and I finished off my college career with 3 rings, 3 NCAA rings with a very good GPA, a 3.5, which was pretty good because I actually went to school without speaking any English. So my first semester, I think my GPA was like 2.3 or 2.4. So I was able to get it up to 3.5 with an economic major, which is not an easy major. And then my life, my social life was amazing. You know, I joined a fraternity. I
had your hazing and everything
I
like
my
that.
hazing. I party quite a bit. You know, I kind of explored that field that I never explored before. So once I went to pro, let's say I kind of burned out that phase, and I was able to still. I mean, I was still young, so I was still messing it up a little bit. I mean, it didn't come to me, like it didn't click the way it had to click till I was like about 30, 31 years old. But all those years were preparation for that click, obviously. Like the click wouldn't have come if I wouldn't have done all those things before. And I mean, Sebas and I were good players. We started playing doubles, only doubles in 2013. Before we were singles players, we did it all right. And through those years, like let's say we were playing good, but I think we weren't maximizing our potential. And by then we were already working with Jeff Kutsi, which you were able to work with him too. And I think he has a big part in our career, since he was the one who literally taught us how to play doubles. Because before we were just 2 good players playing tennis in the doubles field, but now he teaches us all these like new things that we needed to be the best, but we still needed like some pieces to be add up. And one of those pieces clearly was you. I think like any business, you have to be very smart with what group and which team you chooses to work with.
Your environment's everything.
And the environment is everything. And sometimes the environment isn't the best, but if the environment is an environment where it pushes you to the maximum, then you're gonna achieve big things. You know, sometimes I've thought a lot about this, and yeah, maybe it's an environment that can burn you
toxic.
off. Be toxic, can burn you off, and you lived it because we were very intense with, like, you were very intense with what you did. Jeff was very intense with what he did, and Sebas and I was very intense with what I did. So it was a lot of intensity, and that could be toxic. That could be a little bit, like I said, like it can burn you out quickly. But if you choose not to be burned out or to go through those burns out the way you have to go through them, instead of not excelling, it actually makes you excel even more. You know, it brings even more from you. Or it pushes you where you didn't think you could be pushed.
It's a level of adversity, and one thing we have in common is we both reflect a lot,
Yeah.
for better or worse.
Yeah, exactly.
And like I said, there's a lot of passion, a lot of intensity there, and I've reflected on a lot to do, and as well. And I do believe that when you're faced in an environment that's that intense, with that much passion, it's normal that there's going to be a lot of good, but also some very tough moments.
Yes, but I think it will bring the best of you,
Yeah.
and it will bring the worst of you. But if you analyze, you go through, you kind of try to accept the worst of you and transform the worst of you, and that's where the best of you plus the transformation of the worst of you, it gets you to a higher level. That's what I think. And I mean, sports or business life or whatever, to excel, it's not easy. There's a lot of competition, so obviously you have to bring the best of you. And I'm sure that if you talk to all the athletes that have made it, they've all come from, or they all have a tough background behind them. Like it's not all cuddly and roses and you know, like, oh, that you're a great player, yeah, you can rest if you want, oh yeah, just have have a seat every 1 minute because you're tired. No, like, you're gonna have to push yourself, and you're gonna need those people to actually push yourself to that next level.
That's one thing that I loved my time as a physiotherapist, and it's truly an honor to have worked with you in that capacity and seen, the success that we were able to create. But there's definitely some days where tensions were high.
It was tough.
Yeah.
And
but all in love.
I mean, we yelled at each other. But at the end of the day, that's what a team does too, you know. And if you're really a team, then it won't break you, but it will get you tougher, basically.
Yeah, you can go through it together, and that's the thing that and that's one of the things I admire most about you and Sevas. I mean, how many doubles partners out there, apart from like the Bryan brothers, have stayed together for that long? Yeah. I would love to know. Do you know?
I think it's us and probably the Jensens, which were brothers as well, but I don't think anyone has played as much as us, not being blood related. Let's put it that way. I know there's been very good double partners, but 6-7 years. But Sebas and I, basically, we played together since we were 10-year-old. Yeah. So we could say that it's a partnership that have lasted 25 years. So
it's longer than a marriage.
It's longer than a marriage, and at the end of the day, we each have our faults or our
strengths.
We have our strengths, and also we have our bad side. Let's put it that way. You just got to understand the weaknesses of that other person, or the bad things of that other person, and try to actually excel on those good things, and not focus on the bad things, but on the good things. And at the end of the day, it's the same as a relationship with your partner, with your partner of life, basically. Let's put it, either your wife or your husband, and there's gonna be some points where you just want to kick him out of your house, but obviously if you go through those points, like, you're gonna have a very solid relationship.
Yeah, and I love that, and it's one of the things I respect the most about you and obviously Sevas, is that loyalty and that trust and that love. And I want to touch on some more of the good things. So we've talked about some of the hardships and all the ups and downs in your career from that aspect, but let's really highlight when you've gone through everything that you've gone through. I personally know how it felt to just be close to you, and we've had many conversations about it, but for the people listening to this, like, after all those years, was it worth it? When you win Wimbledon, when you become world number one, how'd that make you feel?
No, clearly it was worth it. And I think that even if we wouldn't have won Wimbledon or U.S. Open. I think clearly it was worth it. I think we were very lucky to have a very good career, and obviously the cherry on top of the cake is Wimbledon and U.S. Open. And I think that, I mean, life rewarded us with those slams, but there's so many good players, as good as us, that have not won a slam, and maybe they won't win a slam, or probably they won't win a slam across their career. And that doesn't mean that it doesn't make it worth it. It just means that they had a different path, let's put it that way. And
we got some dogs over there.
Yeah,
we really
like
are in the wildlife here.
like a whole pack over there. Yeah. Well, sometimes we can hear the monkeys.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't remember how they're called.
Orangutans or something.
No, orangutan. They're Indonesia. The owlers. Arr, they owl. Owl?
No,
How do you? Owler monkeys, no?
maybe.
All right. Well, whatever.
You're the wildlife warrior.
All right. Well, I was saying. Clearly, Wimbledon is the best memory I have in tennis, and I mean, you were there for every bit of it, and I mean, I'm so glad that the tournament went the way it did, and
Wasn't easy.
it wasn't easy, but at the same time, I enjoyed it so much, and I think I was so in the zone from day one to the end of it, and it made me realize what my best version as an athlete was, basically. Like what's the level I can get to, not only tennis wise, but also mentally. And we try to do it again. Stay short for 2 years for a couple of points to make the final again, but that's when you notice, okay, maybe you weren't at the same level of mental clarity as the year you won it, you know. And yeah, sometimes it's luck, sometimes it wasn't your day, you know, and sometimes I could have done just a little bit of something different, and the margins are so tiny that little thing that could have been that you could have done differently will have made the difference, you know. But you have to be very truthful with yourself and very observant of the whole situation to then understand that, you know.
So talking about when you've fallen short, and maybe it was this, maybe it was that, but at the end of the day, like, you've always been able to bounce back and be successful. What is it that gives you that ability? Because for me, I think that resiliency is one of your biggest strengths.
I think it's the fear of not giving my 100%. I think
You can't tank. You're not a tanker.
I suffer more by not doing it right than by doing it, like by pushing myself, you know, or by putting myself through those situations. So I think that's sometimes I criticize my own personality, because obviously it's a personality that makes you uncomfortable a lot of times, because you kind of don't feel right or want to do this or want to do that. But at the end of the day, that's the kind of personality that made me do what I did, you know. And like I say, if I wake up one day and I'm not doing things right, if it goes 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, it's gonna cost me. It's gonna cost me, and then it's gonna make me push myself to start doing things right again. So I think that's what got me through my career, basically.
Yeah. And now post-career, you're a father. Congratulations. You have baby Enzo. You have a reforestation. Willy's Beans has planted trees today with Rob, which was really nice. You have a paddle house. What's next for you, Rob?
For now, it's I want to be a great father, and I'm trying to enjoy as much time with Enzo as possible. It was very clear for me that I didn't want to be a father on tour. I wanted to enjoy as much as I can with my son, and I think that was a priority for me. And I think it is a priority for me. And then I think that if you put yourself out there in life, like it will show you the way. I have a paddle club right now, and I have a couple of things. The foundation is something big for me. Um, but what I'm know is that I'm gonna put myself out there to for life to show me the way to what to do. For now, I want to kind of recharge batteries for 3-4 months, and then I know that if I give my 100%, I'm capable of bringing my best version in something new, in a new challenge, and I'm very eager to live that.
What do you mean?
Because you're very relaxed, you know.
So it's really nice for me to also have a coffee with you, Rob.
Yeah.
And apologies at the start. Usually I get people chewing on the bean, but we had some technical difficulties, so it's nice to finally enjoy a cup of Willy's beans.
It's very good coffee, very tasty, and difficulties are part of our life, so it doesn't matter. We have to go through them, like as we were speaking, so it's fine. And I've really enjoyed this podcast so far.
Yeah, me too. That's Happy saying how happy he is right now. Hello, Happy.
He got tight.
Yeah.
He got tight.
But speaking about coffee, you know, we've traveled the world together. We've had coffee in a lot of different places. What is it that you like about this coffee?
Oh, I mean, you really have to try to see it yourself. It's hard to explain because specialty coffee is not a coffee that you probably. Señor, hey, ¿qué haces? No, eso no se hace. Venga, afuera. Venga. Sí, robó el cake.
He wants to arequipe.
All right, let's do it again. Well, this kind of coffee is kind of hard to try it anywhere else, but in a place where they know about their coffee. Specialty coffee is something probably a lot of people have not tried, and they have to try because it's hard to explain the differences between the normal coffee that we've had our whole life and specialty coffee. It's basically like I don't know, like
nice wine.
A normal wine and a very good wine. You know, you can't compare them. You notice immediately the difference, and specialty coffee is sweet, is soft, is tasty.
Look at you, a connoisseur, huh?
You can try all these like different flavors in it. Like I've done already quite some tastings, and you can try like suddenly you're tasting dragon fruit, and it's like, how the hell am I drinking coffee and I'm tasting dragon fruit in my coffee? So it's amazing that you're able to bring this kind of coffee to Australia. Is a coffee that it took a lot of generations to actually make it the way they're doing it now, and for people that they don't know, it's actual coffee. There's nothing in it that make it taste the way it tastes. And I mean, you guys have to try it basically to understand it.
Yeah, and it's something that I'm super proud of because, you know, after leaving a career where I was very successful with you and other players, to now have something where I still get to see you. Actually, I get to see you in a better way because we're just
More relaxed.
I'm not trying to push you, you're not trying to push me. And we get to enjoy a Colombian product taken to Australia, and that company gets to support your new reforestation foundation. So for me, that's something that I'm super proud of, and I think it's a beautiful project that we can continue to develop on together.
I mean, like I said, it's something that I'm very passionate about, and I know we have to do something pro Earth to kind of balance the
good and the bad.
The good and the bad that we're doing to our home basically, and that's what Robert Farah Foundation is about. And as you've been able to show, Colombia is a beautiful country, and the hills where the coffee is grown, it's beautiful, but also it needs all these corridors of jungle or of forest, and all these fincas that you've been to, they have it there, you know, and that's what creates the water that the same thing is using for their coffee, and that's what makes the soil so rich and so good for the coffee to grow. And as soon as we forget that, we are part of something much bigger and that we all connected, that's when something goes wrong, you know. Like, we need soil to grow all our food, and we need rich soil and good soil with good nutrients to grow healthy food for ourselves. So it's a cycle, and we need to respect that cycle. And I'm glad that you're actually supporting a foundation that actually supports the coffee you actually selling, basically.
And it's the cool thing is, like, you know, I wanted to support, obviously we're good friends and I see you as a part of my family now, but also that you're doing all those things. It's nice for me because as I'm taking from the land and giving the coffee, I'm also giving back to the land. But I mean, this coffee itself, there's an untouched rainforest. They use the water from that rainforest to work with all the coffee and the processing and everything. So in terms of sustainability, I know firsthand that you can't get a more sustainable product than that. So for me, I'm super happy. I'm excited. I know we're going to do amazing things together, and I just want to say thank you for giving me the time to talk with you on my podcast. We've had a beautiful backdrop, but the sun's down, so I think
the eagle's out.
The eagle's out, but I think it's time for us to wrap up the coffee and maybe go get some aguardiente.
We can get some good aguardiente as well. All right.
Gracias.
All right, Jay. Cheers and good luck with your project.
Cheers.